Under the Americans with Disabilities Act, also known as the ADA, you are required to provide reasonable accommodations to employees with disabilities. This video will provide you with information about meeting your obligations under the ADA.
Reasonable accommodations are changes to the workplace that enable people with disabilities to do their job. Examples of accommodation include an employee with a back impairment asking for an orthopedic chair, an applicant who is deaf requesting an American Sign Language interpreter for the job interview, an employee with depression asking for a flexible schedule to accommodate therapy appointments, and an employee who is blind asking for training materials in Braille.
Generally, the employee is responsible for requesting a reasonable accommodation. This request is the first step in an informal, interactive process between you and the employee. You should respond promptly to any request because unnecessary delays can be deemed an ADA violation.
People with disabilities are not required to put reasonable accommodation requests in writing or to even use the term reasonable accommodation. They just have to provide enough information for you to understand they have a disability and need some change in the workplace. You can, however, request that employees complete a reasonable accommodation form.
When the employee's disability isn't obvious, you can ask for reasonable documentation about the employee's disability, functional limitations, and how the accommodation would allow the person to do the job. You should not ask employees to sign a general release for medical information, as that is beyond what is allowable under the ADA. Any disability-related information received must be kept confidential in a file separate from the personnel file.
You are required to provide a reasonable accommodation, not necessarily the employee's preferred accommodation. This is where the interactive process comes into play, to help you understand the person's needs and then determine what change in the workplace can be made.
You do not have to provide accommodations that would be an undue hardship, which is defined as a significant difficulty or expense. The Job Accommodation Network, www.askjan.org, is a free resource that can help you make reasonable accommodation determinations. To ensure that your management team consistently complies with the ADA's reasonable accommodation provisions, training is strongly advised.